Hello and welcome to another step-by-step how to tie tutorial video. This is the Beaver Nymph. This is the second video of my A to Z series. This is from a Norwegian book that was recently gifted, and I decided to go through and work A to Z. This is tied on a size 12 Dia-Riki nymph hook. This is a 1x strong, 2x long. For a tying thread, I am using a thin black waxed thread. The tail and wing casing are both Norwegian deer hair. And its namesake, the body, is a dubbed on beaver hair. What I'm using is the under fur there. And a ribbing material of a small copper brown. It's that easy, folks. Just a couple of materials. So let's go ahead and remove our sample. And we will secure our blank hook in the vise. And like all good flies, this will begin with a single wrap of thread. And we're going to cast this on right at that measurement point of where we want the body, about that 2/3 point. A little bit past half, closer to the head. We'll continue our thread wraps towards the bend of the hook, where we'll tie in our tail material. What I want to show here is how we're going to clean this off. I have a eyebrow brush, and if you look real close, you can see the under fur, some fibers under there, and a couple quick strokes of the comb cleans that all out. We'll put our tips down into the stacker, and we'll give that a few taps, aligning the tips. We'll tie those in about I don't know, not quite a full hook's length. A little bit shorter than a full hook's length. Because this is a 2x long hook, don't want to go too long with the body, or the tail rather. So a couple of tight wraps there at the bend. Once that's secured, I'm going to bring my thread forward. And I'm going to lock down the rest of that tail material, the full length of the body. A couple of tight wraps. Take my thread towards the bend a few wraps, about halfway in between. Fold this material over itself and lock that down. And at this point, we can go ahead and trim this off. And this will help build the taper of the body, working narrow towards the bend of the hook. That way when we do our dubbing, we can do a uniform dubbing. Take our copper wire, our brown copper wire, we're going to tie this in. And set that out of the way. A little bit of wax, a little bit of added wax. This beaver dubbing goes on really easy, and it takes just the smallest little tuft. Less is more when it comes to dubbing. And I start with the clump and I just work my way down the thread, pulling it out, pinching it down. Now we can dub our body on. Nice close touching wraps. And again, I don't have to go too thick with it because I have the shape of the body more or less built with the butt section of the deer. Alright, we'll add just a little bit more. You can always add more Let us never forget that. And you want to avoid nice big clumps, because we want this to go on nice and even. Here we go. Alright, we'll do some counter wraps with our brown copper wire. And the first wrap will be complete. One full wrap at the rear. And then we can start bringing it forward. Nice, even wraps. Palmer it on from the rear to the front. It's always nice to keep your material on the bobbin. I say this time and time again. It's easier to hold on to, it's easier to handle. But if it's not an option, best of luck. Alright, just a few evenly spaced wraps there. Take a couple of turns locking that down. And we'll trim off our wire. Next we're going to tie in our wing casing, which is that same deer hair. We're going to repeat that process, cleaning out the junk underneath. We'll get our brush, clean that out a little bit. Just a simple eyebrow brush that was given to me. Gentleman paid a whole $1 for it. It's always good to have friends with an eye out for a deal. Alright, we'll run that through our stacker. Now when we take it out of the stacker, we're going to have the tips forward towards the eye, because we're going to tie in the tips forward. We're going to bring our thread nice and tight all the way to the forward portion of that body. We'll take our thread forward towards the eye. Make sure that deer hair is on the top, because we're going to use that as a wing casing. We'll trim off the tips. We'll get ready to get our dub on again. Same beaver hair. This is going to get covered on top by the deer hair. We'll do this in a couple of steps. We're going to put this on a little bit thicker. Just a little bit thicker. Give that deer hair really something to cover. As long as it's nice and even, that's what really matters. Nice little thorax. Here we go. Alright, we'll take the deer hair, our wing casing, we'll fold that over. And I'm trying to lay it out flat as I can on the top side, letting the fibers roll over the sides. Draw that down nice and tight. Some nice locking wraps. Underneath, we'll do some more locking wraps, where we'll do our 1, 2, 3 whip finish. 1, 2, 3. Trim off our tying thread. And all this up front, we're going to trim this to a length. We're going to do a nice, close buzz cut. We'll give it a little flat top, a little high top. Nothing special, nothing fancy. Got a couple of wanderers. Trim off any excess hair. I mean, it's always good to have a little bit in the mix. And I got my little popsicle stick here with a little bit of Velcro on it. This is my dubbing brush. And I'm going to come underneath and tickle its belly. Just kind of get some of that dubbing, especially that's the stuff that's trapped underneath that wire. I'm going to be careful around that wing case, not to grab that wing casing too much. A little tickle here, a little tickle there. Kind of get that beaver hair to kind of buggy its way out. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to come through and I'm going to trim it once initially, and I'm going to come back in and tickle it out just a little bit more because I don't want that freshly cut edge. So there you have it. That is the Beaver Nymph tied on a size 12. B is for beaver. Thank you for watching. Happy tying and tight lines. And if you don't remember anything, I want you to remember one thing. And it goes like this. I'm a beaver, you're a beaver, we're a beaver all. If you ever get in trouble, please just give the beaver call. Tight lines.